Hey guys, my name is Bando, this is Brexit Bando, and I thought I should probably do a video on the LVO preview reveals. It's probably going to be a long one. Get ready for lots and lots of tangents. I'll cover them all, no matter what the game system is. And basically, I'll try to keep it quick and succinct. And just go over what I like and don't like about the models. So, starting up, the first one we have here, the Barrow Kingdoms rise to serve the Soulblight Gravelords. So it's Age of Sigmar to start with, and we have some new skeletons. I like a good fantasy skeleton as much as the next guy, and I'm looking at getting a, what are they called? Spearhead? Because if you saw one of my videos earlier, you would have seen that I wanted to do the Warhammer Challenge to see if I could do the whole bingo card thing. And I think doing a spearhead of the Death Rattle skeletons would be really cool. So we have a new White King on Skeletal Steed. This is a bit of a weird one because we've only really just had a White King on Steed, which is the one with the long lance and only came out maybe 2-3 years ago. Well, it's not long ago. I'm hoping they're not replacing it. And it's just another addition to the range. But it's nice. I've always liked the kind of... it's very reminiscent of like Conan, the original 80s Conan movie, where he finds the Atlantean king. And I've always liked that kind of thing. The ancient skeleton in rusted, pitted armour, in a barrow somewhere. I think that's just cool. There's something about it I really like. It's a great aesthetic. It's a great sort of terrifying thing. You don't go digging in the old dark places of the world because you don't know what you'll find. It's quite a well sculpted model. The only complaints I have is that there's a couple of places like the fur on the back where the detailing is just not that great. All in all though, I quite like it as a model. Yeah, it's a solid one. The nobles of conquered kingdoms are often recruited to serve as champions, and some even preempting defeat and turning to necromancy to preserve their ambitions. So they also have white lords, which I guess is a lesser choice in your army than a white king. Slightly different options, stylings. Not so much a fan of these as I am of this one, but again, pretty solid multi-part kit. Not bad at all. When a king crosses the threshold of death, he may be accompanied by his retinue of loyal retainers and guards. These are the Barrow Guard. Now, I really like these. My big problem with a lot of the skeleton models GW has done is they're very skinny. And obviously, they're skeletons. The problem with that is it makes them very difficult to build and paint without making them very flimsy and easily damaged. These guys, they're very reminiscent of the sort of 90s era Tomb Guard, the more elite skeletons for the vampire counts, and I really quite like them. The aesthetic of the armour is great. I really like sort of the posing on them. They're good, they're dynamic. I really should like Age of Sigmar a lot more than I do. It allows me to do sort of things that I want to do with models. Problem is I just find the setting so boring. But these are absolutely fantastic. I wish the regiment came with just one set of weapons. Either or. I don't see anything in here about them being like a multi-part kit. I have a feeling they're going to be one of those ones where they're armed with what they come with and there are no options to change it. Which is a little disappointing, but it is what it is, and that's kind of on par for GW nowadays. I'm liking the sort of is it patinera on the metal, and I like the verdigris. A lot of people go so hard on verdigris at the moment when painting, and it really doesn't need to be as much as people think it does. And these nice brass armour, it's good that they're getting the dark bits in there because it does go dark before it goes green. Yeah, really nice models. Then we have mounted Barrow Guard, and these guys all look pretty good. The only complaint I've really got is that all the poses are very static. the horses are all just kind of stood there, which is fine on itself. It's better that the whole regiment is stood at ease than half and half. But I very much would like to see the option or a second kit that allows us to build them, at full tilt, hunting down the enemy. But much better sculpts than they're used to, a million miles better than the old skeletal steeds. And I really like these as well. All around, this is an absolute win. I think this is fantastic. The art's really good. And then you have this phenomenal zombie dragon. Such an improvement and upgrade from the original with a vampire lord who is just great. Everything about this model is fantastic. I love dragons. Vampires are cool. This is all around just an absolute, brilliant set. Now, I'm hoping we don't lose access to the old one. Again, I like the old one as well. I think they have their places together. And then we have a really nice vampire on Nightmare. The only issue I have with this one is his hair. I don't like the hair. I get what they're going for. I just don't think it translates particularly well into plastic as a model. I just don't think the CAD sculpting with the thick strands pulls it off. Great axe. That axe is fantastic. I'm probably going to steal that for a Night Lord or something. And I love the little skeleton dudes on the base. They're fantastic. So this looks like it's going to be the start collecting or the spearhead. So this will probably be what I get. And I like this. It's a good collection of skeletons. I believe these bottom ones are the already existing death rattle skeletons that you can get that came from Cursed City. And then we got some new ones. And the horses, that's kind of cool. I really like the look of that. And then it's got the old White King on foot as well. That's a solid kit. I like that. That's not a bad box set. Not such a fan of the actual artwork. I think that's kind of mid. Obviously, they got a book as well. And then we have Ideneth, Deep King, and Nighthaunt. It always feels like Nighthaunt are getting released. Nighthaunt just seem to be getting more and more releases. They're obviously a fan favourite. Yeah. That also kind of looks like a model that's not been announced here, which would be really funny. It may just be one that's painted differently, but it'd be really funny if that was something different as well. So yeah, let's go on to the next one. Next up, we have the Black Library miniatures, and I've got a bit of a problem here. It may just be my lack of finger on the pulse, as it were, but it feels really weird that Lesk just gets thrown out there so much. I'll look at that as a model, and it's a great officer. It's a great officer, great veteran, brilliant commissar. These two are a bit weak. Not a fan of either of these, to be honest. The commissar's fantastic. The veteran's pretty solid. She's pretty solid as a generic Cadian officer. But I just... Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you guys can tell me, that Mikalesk is the coolest character ever and everyone loves her. She sold millions of books. She's literally the greatest character anyone's ever written. And I'm missing out and I desperately need to read these books. Because as is, I just see it and I don't get it. I think that, why is she getting a second Black Library model? When there are so many Black Library books out there that are so phenomenally good that could also do with a completely brand new model. On the flip side, this thing, the Shadow or Shade of Cain, a Malaneth Witchblade novel, I think looks awful. I just don't like it. I think the colours are all wrong. I don't like it. I think it's just a bad model. Maybe it's the paint job. That would have been a cooler pose, in my opinion. I don't know. I just don't like it. There's something about this that doesn't vibe with me. I don't think it's painted particularly well. I don't think the base, it looks particularly good. I have no idea who this is. I've never read any of these books. So again, is this a good model for this character? I'm not in a position to say this is good or bad. All I can give you is my personal opinion, which is, like an arsehole, everybody has one. Yeah, I just think there are more characters out there for Black Library that could have had better, better characters, better models, especially to get a 5-man set. That's quite a big deal. I know we had the Tanith Ghosts, which is definitely one that is worthy of a 5-man set or 6-man set, whatever it is. But again, you have a host of Horus Heresy characters. Why there's only two models here, or 2 sets of models here, and you have ignored the largest book series you've ever done. So why is there no Heresy book or Heresy character? Why is there no Old World, Necromunda, or any of the others? Yeah. So, talking about the Old World, we go on to my true beloved, my very first army. The army I have always wanted to go back to. The army I have never had the painting ability to actually do. The army I have always wanted to do properly. The High Elves. Karl Kopinski's artwork for the High Elves made me fall in love with them. I had the 3rd or 4th edition fantasy rulebook. It was great. I had the metal, lead, not even white metal, they were lead. Army box for £100. I loved it. I really did. High Elves. I have waited for this moment, and the fact that basically it's going to be the last, I believe they've now announced 2 more, but it was going to be the last army release for this Old World edition, just made me fume. And all of the models I have missed and never had the money to buy are coming back, and I'm going to spend a fortune on them. And I'm so looking forward to it, because I now have the painting ability to be able to do it. I can paint white. I paint white well, and I'm so looking forward to it. So yes, this is great. And this guy is fantastic. I love it. Yes, the detail's a little chunky, but I think it artistically kind of worked. It fits the aesthetic of the older metal models that came out right before the end of Fantasy. But more importantly, so much more importantly, he is wearing the red and white colours that they had when I started the hobby, because the edition afterwards they went to this horrible white and blue, and I've never recovered, because that is what a High Elf should look like, and I think he looks fantastic. On the flip side, this cosplaying Idoneth Deepkin is crap. I don't like this one. I think that, first of all, the models, they've taken the photo from possibly one of the worst angles. This is a model that needs 2 or 3 photos to give us a sense of motion and posing and equipment and everything else. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of this one at all. Yeah. Illyrian Reavers. I believe this is a new kit, completely new, but it is based off the aesthetic of the Island of Blood, which had a load of... the Isle of Blood had remakes of loads of models that had only been metal beforehand, but they were all monopose, and then Fantasy died shortly after, which is very disappointing. We have returning plastic kits. We have the High Elf Lord on Dragon. I'm not a big fan of this dragon, simply because I think it was just a massive downgrade from what we had before, which was the big sort of S-shaped dragons, which hopefully I will be able to get my hands on a recast one of those at some point. Then we have the... what are they called? The Phoenixes. I never liked these, personally. Yeah. I get it. Not a fan. Wouldn't particularly ever take it in my army as is. Then we have the plastic commands. Again, good models. The mages were solid models. That was always a good one as well. I'm a little disappointed we didn't see the return of things like Teclis and Tyrion. Or return of like classic made to order metals. I really want the classic Eltharion on his Griffin, Grim, whatever it is, Grim Talon, I think it is. Because I had that, and the Pegasus Lord, and all of that. All of those classic metals are something I'm really looking forward to. But here we have the Dragon Princess in a big unit of 10. I am so looking forward to these guys. I had metal Dragon Princes back in the day, and they used the same horses as the Empire Knights with different heads. And I never managed to get these. I could never save up to get these, and I really want them, and I can't wait. The Silver Helms I had, and I can't wait, because again, it's a unit. This is a unit of 12. It's not even a unit of 10. This is great. I can't wait for these guys. I love cavalry. I love the Silver Helms. Look at the size of this. Again, these are from the Isle of Blood. They were such a step up from the metals. And it looks like you're getting a huge unit of them. You know, what is that? 5, 15... What, 45 possibly? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 35. I can't do math. That's a lot of guys. I like that. I'm really looking forward to this. And then the Phoenix Guard. Again, a multi-part kit that only really disappeared very recently. It was still available for Age of Sigmar for quite some time. I think that's all of the returning plastics. The Swordmasters of Hoth. These again are from the Isle of Blood. I love the Swordmasters of Hoth. The idea of an elite regiment of warriors with giant two-handed swords whose entire job is to defend the towers of wizards that contain all of their knowledge. And they're so good at their job, they can deflect arrows mid-flight with their swords. They are just a blurry wall of blades, and I can't wait. We have the Lions of Chars coming back as well. A lovely plastic kit. Such a brilliant source of bits as well. The Shadow Warriors. Again, another kit that's only recently gone. And they are a multi-part kit. I can't remember what these the ladies are called. I always preferred the Shadow Warriors. I just didn't like the magical bows and stuff, and I just thought the sort of like the hooded faces and stuff just looked cooler. They only disappeared very recently as well. The regular spearmen. These guys, I think, are one of the weakest kits. These are one of the weakest kits, and these were always a problem to me because you looked at these compared to the Karl Kapinski artwork, which was very thin and tall and fragile, and these guys, their hands are the size of their faces. So that was a problem for me, and I'm hoping these guys get replaced relatively soon. Same with the archers. Then we have some of the Weird and Wonderfuls. Never had this. Never really liked it. I thought it was a bit silly, to be honest. But that's fantasy, I suppose. But it's good to see it back. The Bolt Throwers. Gotta love Bolt Throwers. And the Tyrannic Chariot. Now, the Tyrannic Chariot is one I've always been a bit disappointed with, because the old one that came out in like 2nd or 3rd edition had this really cool guy with a giant like glaive and a big horsehair crest on. And I always loved him, and I always picture these things racing along the wet sands of the beaches around Tyrannoc, because that's how they were described. And I can't wait. I really can't. It's obvious that I'm so hyped for this. So we get 3 metal kits: the Handmaidens, the Everqueen. That's a good kit. The Coriol Lion Mane. So yep, that's good. And then the famed Great Eagles. Now, the Great Eagles I'd actually replace. I didn't like the Eagles. I think the Lord of the Rings ones are better, and I would use them instead. So, yeah, I honestly, 10 out of 10, 11 out of 10, can't wait, super hyped. Only disappointment is the battle force is a lot of repetition. I would have liked to have seen maybe, one less unit of archers, one less unit of spearmen, maybe a unit of Illyrian Reavers or something else in there. It's just a lot of the same stuff in there, which is fine. You just kind of need to buy this once and then go off and buy all the shiny stuff. But, yeah, looking forward to this. Next up, we have Necromunda. Necromunda always gets the best minis! Ish. It's definitely one of those ones that's got a lot of freedom, and the Ash Waste nomads are getting their freedom. These guys, they're great, they're creepy, they're so otherworldly. They would make some fantastic militia in the Heresy if they weren't so damn expensive. Really cool. This whip guy, fantastic. Loving the aesthetic. Not so much this guy. This guy's pretty cool. Then we got the worms. What are they called? Athromite spine worms. Okay, weird and wonderful little creatures. Not my sort of cup of tea. Always glad to see an upgrade set. Upgrade sets are cool. And a new book, Tribes of the Wasteland. A really cool piece of terrain, and out like a Wastelands lookout tower, and then some more kind of Zone Mortalis terrain for the Hive Secundus. Again, always happy to see more of this. It's, you know, it's a little hard to build a Zone Mortalis board. You know, it's expensive, so getting more and more choice for it is always fantastic. So these are all really solid. I'm sure if you guys are a Nomad player, collector, these are great for you. They're not something I would go out of my way to purchase, but that's simply because I don't have a Nomad gang. Maybe one day in the future. This one surprised me because Games Workshop's Facebook page lied to us. They said categorically that this would not be shown off because there would be no Heresy reveals at LVO. But then they dropped the Thanatar Calyx on us. And it's a Thanatar Calyx. I don't know what I can say about it. It's the plastic replacement of a resin kit. Whoop-de-doo, Basil. If it doesn't look identical to the resin kit, you've done your job wrong. So, okay, cool. If they really wanted to show these sorts of things off, they'd pose them differently. They'd make them stand out in a way that made them completely distinguishable from the resin ones. That someone would look at it and go, oh yeah, that's definitely not the resin one. You know, they'd have it posed on a giant rock, or they'd have it running, or something like that. That's just a bit more interesting. Little worried about how the ammo feed tube is going to limit posability, possibly. You know, with resin at least you can always boil it and bend it into position. Yeah. And I'm sure Mac is going to complain about the size of his gravity hammer. But no, it's a good choice, and if you like killing tanks for the Mechanicum, it's a fantastic choice. So, glad to see it. Glad to see that they didn't leave it so long after the release of the first one. I think if there are multi-sets like this, they should try and get them out as quick as possible. Then we have a wizard for the what do they call them here? Beastmen, the Brayherds. It's a cool model, like a blind sage. Yeah, I like it, but it doesn't like inspire anything. The little dude's terrifying. That's absolutely terrifying. It's a solid model. I can see it slotting into the range, and I like what it does, but it's nothing special. Like, nothing about it makes me, you know, really get my heart going and want to jump in and grab it and just, you know, go crazy. Beastmen are great. Again, we've got some Karl Kapinski artwork here that really shows just how detailed these things are. If you've never had a look at all of Karl Kapinski's Warhammer artwork, I cannot stress enough how great he was for the hobby. And then we have so Beastmen are coming after the High Elves, and then we're getting the Wood Elves, and then is there possibly a third one? We don't know. Maybe. Not sure who else they could do. But yeah, so Wood Elves I'll be definitely looking forward to. There's some great Wood Elf models we're missing. But most definitely looking forward to these bad boys. Next up, wow, what a surprise. We've never seen this model before. The Lord of Poxes. So I called it. I said it was going to be the Lord of Poxes. And it was, so that's good. And yes, the digital kit bash the guy put together was 100% accurate. That was very impressive. He did a really good job with that. I kind of like it. It's a solid looking model. It's a bit weird. It's a bit wonderful. There are bits I really don't like his little, doot face. But his berserk style sword is really cool. His plasma pistol's really cool. His shins, they're really cool. The fact it's not having too much overt mutation and it's just more of like an industrial, worn down guy is great. The only thing I think I would have changed is possibly just dial the amount of cloak back by about 25 to 30%. That's it. Personally, that's all I would have done. Just get rid of that and maybe swap the head out. But we've had the Emperor's Children announced. And next up, we've got World Eaters. I'm really hoping they get some Terminators. The Death Guard, I'm really hoping they get some... No, I don't know what they're going to get. Thousand Suns, I just hope they get more Thousand Suns. I don't want another character for Thousand Suns. I want another unit of Thousand Suns. Something Space Marine. No more Tanzagors. I just need that. And then on the horizon, we've got Grey Knights, Salamanders, Black Templars, and Chaos Knights. I don't know what they could do for the Salamanders. That's probably just going to be like Vulcan Histan updated, or possibly even a re-release of someone like Chaplain Xavier. I don't know what we're going to get for the Grey Knights. Are they finally going to do a range refresh? Who knows? The Black Templars could be anything. Probably some sort of jump marshal or something. Wouldn't surprise me. Then, lastly, the big one, the main meal, the thing that everyone actually turned up for, the Emperor's Children. So we have Fulgrim, we've seen Fulgrim already, but now we have Lucius the Eternal. Lucius the haha I win Eternal, with a wonderful plastic whip that it just wouldn't be possible 10 years ago, probably struggled 5 years ago. They've played it very safe here. They didn't go too crazy. They didn't go too much. He's got his scars on his face, but it's dialed down a bit. The screaming faces in his armor are there. He's a really solid model. I really like his sword. Then we have a multi-part Lord with lots of different options. I'm glad we're getting these types of kits again. My biggest complaint with this is I really don't like this style of skin stretched over the power armor, but that's just purely an aesthetics thing I don't like. I like the power claw. That would be worth stealing for other armies. I like his swordy spear thing. That would be kind of worth stealing for other armies. His air horn cannon looks kind of funny. The whip's fantastic. That's getting stolen for overseers left, right, and centre. And his plasma pistol's pretty cool, as is his sword. Don't like this bear head, though. Yeah, not a big fan of the bear heads. That head's pretty cool, though. Then we have the Noise Marines with their prime Noise Marine, the Lord Exultant or something like that, Lord Cacophonist. It's an update to an old model, the one with all the pipes on his back. I don't like it. I'll be brutally honest, this screams third-party miniature to me. Everything about this, aesthetically, is kind of not quite a Space Marine, so they don't get sued by Games Workshop. That's how it feels to me. Which is not something you want from Games Workshop models, honestly. The actual Noise Marines, I quite like. The aesthetics of the legs looks a bit too much like Primaris Mark 10 armor for me. I would have liked it to be a little less like that. I know some people have pointed out that it's based on the Havoc armor, but again, that just looks too much like Space Primaris Marine armor to me anyway. But they're solid, they're not awful, they haven't redesigned everything to look really, really bad. Yeah, I quite like it. I think these are solid, like a solid update and replacement to the kits. Then we have the Flawless Blades, a dark mirror to the Palatine Blades of the Great Crusade. And these are the 3-man bodyguard unit, because, that's what Games Workshop's doing now, is a 3-man bodyguard unit, apparently. They're good. They're not great. They're good. The swords are fantastic. I really don't know what's going on with the elongated heads. Yeah, that's a bit weird. Yeah, I mean they're solid. They're solid for what they are. But yeah, not much conversion potential here for for someone like me. Then we have the basic, like thousand suns Empress Children Marines, and these are great. Other than the stretch skin, which is fine, these guys are really, really good. I really like these. Pardon me. They have some fantastic posing. They've got some fantastic details. As long as the pads and the backpacks and everything is removable, I can see these working really, really well for late war, late heresy, Emperor's Children. Swap out for some like Mark 3 or Mark 6 backpacks, put some, Mark 6 helmets on them, put some heresy pads on them, and just paint them up in the like the normal heresy colours. Maybe get rid of the Slanesh symbol off the legs so much, and I think these guys will be fantastic. Like this guy here with his bolter and like the low ready and the plasma gun, they're fantastic. I really like those. So really solid. Yeah, definitely solid, and a really good army box as well. Like absolutely, like this is complete opposite of what the Krieg got. This is a full army. This is, you could have a game with this and not just be slapped around like nobody's business. 2 full tactical squads, and 2 units of Noise Marines and a commander. Codex, transfers, data cards, great, absolutely fantastic. Hate the cover art. The cover art of the special edition's much better. That's terrible. Really don't like this artist, whoever they are. Just can't get on with their aesthetic and style. So yeah, there we go. We'll finish it on a nice negative that I don't like the art. It also looks like, from the big images that they showed off, that obviously all of things like the demons of Slanesh are now being folded into this codex completely, which is kind of cool. We kind of knew that was going to come as well. And then you've got the obvious rhinos and the trusty land raiders still in the army too. I don't see a Hellbrute in here though. So no Hellbrute shown off yet. Some good, some bad. Yeah, there is a clear winner here for me, by a lot more than a country mile. It's the High Elves. Yeah, I honestly, this is the worst model. The High Elves are the best model. These are the ones I probably wouldn't have released. Like this half is good, this half not so good. So yeah, I'm loving some of these stuff. I'm loving some of this. I'm really looking forward to this. I want to make sure that you guys know that I am actually being quite positive here. I'm not trying to just be negative. I am genuinely quite impressed with a lot of these releases. However, a lot of this is kind of a bit unneeded. Lots of big releases all at the same time, lots of things coming out, and GW is struggling with production at the moment. Do we need all these range refreshes? Not really. I'm hoping you guys are impressed, happy, and excited. If I was physically incapable of being excited, I'm sure I would be hyped. Really like the pose on this guy, actually. But yeah, I think these are a very good update to the Emperor's Children. I don't know what else to say, guys. I think that's it. It's a bit of a mixed bag. Nothing too terrible. Nothing that I would decry and scream and burn an army over. Yeah. Let me know what you think. What was your favourite announcement? Is there any models you absolutely love? Anything you think is awful? Is there anything in here that had you as hyped up and happy and nostalgic as I was for the High Elves? Doc, I know you're watching. We're going to have a talk about that High Elf box you have. I may have to throw caution into the wind and send you my address to send it to me. Guys, if you have any questions, comments, suggestions, please pop them down below. If you have any feedback on the models, let me know. If you think I'm wrong, please tell me. If you think I'm right, I know, I'm me, I'm always right. Just pop it down in the comments, guys. I do appreciate it. And if you want to support the channel, like, comment, subscribing is free. If you are shopping in the UK, don't forget, Element Games will get you 15% off. And you can use my code to double the reward points that you get. It's not an affiliate link. It's just a code for you to use and get something back yourself. As always, the super thanks option is there, but you know, my content is free. You know, I don't expect anything. But what else? If you want to come join us on Discord, just drop us a comment and I will get you a fresh link. Unfortunately, I can't leave it in the description because it times out. And come share your models with us. Come say hi. Well, that's it. I am going to go off and play some Valheim now. And I'm going to drink this entire Mango Loco juiced monster. Thanks very much, guys. My name is Bando. This is Brexit Bando. Bye-bye.